Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I just got back from going to a friend's land. I stayed out there for a couple of nights, and that's where I survived the crypto, about the 10th crypto crash that I've witnessed since I got in this. I survived it out in the woods. So wanted to start this video, and I'll go through all that. Wanted to start this video with this from Link to awesome videos they've been putting together. These guys are adding all kinds of new issues onto the platform. So if you're an accredited investor, and even if you're not an accredited investor, I'm pretty sure you can sign up for Link to, and they have apps you can download, and you can look at a lot of this research on these companies. There's many of you that are listening to my voice that may not be accredited yet, and you might find yourself in an accredited situation down the road. And this is the best place to buy private equity once you are accredited. Okay, so yeah, we had a big crypto market crash. The total market has got down to, I guess, around 1.6 trillion. Bitcoin's as low as 35,000. XRP's at 61 cents. Folks, this all changes in an instant, and it's just part of the ride that we're on. I can remember, I've been going through these ups and downs since 2013. And I'll tell you one thing that I do believe, just from having been in this. When I was in this, I can remember turning to my wife and saying, listen, this was 2013. And what I'm trying to relate to you is the risk return then versus now. Back then, the risks were so much higher than they are now. Back then, I remember turning to my wife and saying, look, I don't even really know what I'm buying here. But if my hunch is right here, this could be something huge. But I don't technically know if I'm allowed to own it. It was like that back then, folks. So let's look. And I also wanted to show you that, this is the kind of stuff that goes on every time. Peter Schiff starts running his mouth about Bitcoin, and then Mike Novogratz actually proposed a bet that he'll bet him $1 million that goes to charity. Either of our choices that Bitcoin is higher than 35K a year from now. Are you on? Peter Schiff has been issued the bet. And I wanted to show you this. It's good. I like to look at these kind of things when, as you know, I'm not some big Bitcoin person on this channel, but unfortunately, but temporarily also, the market still follows Bitcoin. I don't believe it'll be that way, but when this story is completely written. But these are just some of the historic Bitcoin crashes that have happened. There's nothing new going on here. The only difference is that now we're in a different place, folks. 2022, I think everybody agrees on this. 2022, there's going to be some regulatory certainty given to this market for the first time since its creation, when Bitcoin came out in 2009, was it? I think. This is from one of the, I think she's a White House reporter for Bloomberg. Scoop: the Biden administration preparing to release an initial government-wide strategy for digital assets as soon as next month. Current plan is for Biden to sign an executive order for studies on stability, illicit uses, global competitiveness, and more. And then you've got this. Do you think Walmart is gearing up to get into the NFT business when this market is somehow going to go away? Nope, not going to happen. Do you think that BlackRock, who has decided that now would be a good time to launch a blockchain and tech fund, do you think that BlackRock is getting into the largest asset manager in the world? Do you think they're getting into this? when this is just somehow the end of all this? No, not happening. In fact, if you want to see somebody get an ETF approved, it's going to be BlackRock before anybody. It'll be a BlackRock or a Goldman Sachs or a JP Morgan. But anyway, the point is that, you know, these ups and downs, you just have to understand it for what it is. This is the game that we're playing. It's a high stakes game, but at the end of it, the way I look at it is there's going to be let's say 5 to 15 infrastructure winners of this whole thing. Not going to be 5,000 cryptos, but there's going to be that 5 to 15 plays that become the infrastructure of this new, whatever you want to call it, new Federal Reserve, new Bretton Woods 2.0, whatever you want to call it. That's what's happening right now. Some people call it a great reset. Some people call it different things, but it's happening. And the stories that I plan on telling my grandchildren is going to be about, wow, back in the day, you know, I remember when we would sit there and we might lose 20% in a day on crypto. But if you picked the right winner, I truly believe, this is what I really believe about this space. I believe, and I make no bones about it, I think XRP and XLM would be the top 2 core things that are going to be a part of this new financial system. I believe that these two, especially, the people who were willing to ride those ups and downs, and this is just my opinion based on everything I've been researching for the last 3 years, I believe those two, the significant holders of those, I believe, are holding the equivalent of what Rockefeller did and Vanderbilt, and he did the railroads, and this is the 4th industrial revolution, the one that got us the railroads and steel and kerosene and oil and all that stuff. That is what we're going through right now, and all you got to do is figure out which ones are the ones, and I think they're XRP and XLM and a handful of others. Okay. Now, John Deaton's law firm has created another awesome commercial that you've got to see.
In 2018, then SEC official Bill Hinman gave a speech declaring that Ether is not a security.
We believe current offers and sales of Ether are not securities transactions.
He made us believe it was guidance to the market.
It was the first time we had expressed to the world that we didn't view Ether as a security.
But Gary Gensler's SEC says this speech was not guidance. That's not what the markets thought.
The SEC has started to weigh in. Just last week, Bill Hinman communicated that Ether was considered a commodity, not a security.
Even then, SEC Commissioner Robert Jackson made us think it was guidance to the market.
He gave a speech where he laid out, here's how we think about this, and gave a set of principles that the market can follow.
From time to time, the SEC does its best work, not through the cumbersome and formal rulemaking process, but instead by talking to the market. Help me understand how to do this right. And we're working on it. Hinman gave a speech.
And all the while, Bill Hinman was being paid $15 million from a law firm promoting Ethereum. Then Hinman left the SEC to be a partner at the biggest crypto investment fund. Why did Bill Hinman give that speech? How many millions of reasons did he have? It's time for an investigation of the conflicts of interest by SEC officials like Hinman. Only Congress has oversight on the SEC. Demand your lawmakers support an investigation. Connect to Congress today.
There you go. What an outstanding commercial. When you watch that video, it's very clear that the SEC is in a corner that they cannot get out of. They cannot get out of this corner. Now, John Deaton was on with Brad Combs from Digital Perspectives. Watch this. This poor Hinman guy.
This puts William Hinman in a bit of a pickle. Now, I'm 12 years short.
Look, folks, I would almost feel sorry for Bill Hinman if I did not know what all these guys, if I did not, based on everything I've seen, if I did not think that this was intentionally to get Ethereum a free pass and hold at bay people like Ripple and XRP and things like. If I didn't think that that's what went on here, I would almost feel sorry for him. He's in such a bad position.
All degree, but why is William Hinman going out here and writing a letter and giving it present public, that Ethereum is not a security, and come to find out, he's got 15 million reasons to talk about the Ethereum project, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's, listen, I'm not being facetious. If I were the personal attorney of William Hinman, I would have said, Bill, don't sign this affidavit the way it's written, because you're going to have to explain. You have to be able to say, I gave the disclaimer that you can't hold this to the commission itself, but I gave the speech to help market clarity. If you don't make that distinction, then why did you give the speech? If it is absolutely has nothing to do with providing clarity to the market as your role as chairman of the Corporation of Finance, then why are you gratuitously standing up and saying Ether's not a security when you're connected to Ether, when the Ether investors helped write the speech, and now you are a partner at the largest crypto fund in the world? It looks bad. It smells. You know how Gary Gensler does the duck test?
Yeah.
It looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, it's a duck. Well, if it looks like a financial interest is motivated you, and it smells like financial interest motivated you and personal gain, then that's what it is on its face. And so I think that was a terrible mistake on his part, in my opinion, because he needs to answer that question now. Why did you give it?
All right. There was so much that went on just in the last 24 hours. This video might have to be a little long. Anyway, so James Phelan puts this out. I think it was Friday. The SEC has also requested an extension of time from Judge Torres to file objections to Judge Netburn's DPP ruling. The SEC had two different routes to take in response to Judge Netburn's DPP ruling. First, it could request that Judge Netburn reconsider her ruling, or second, it could have filed objections to to her ruling directly with Judge Torres, which is basically an appeal. But both the motion for reconsideration and the objections have to be filed within 14 days of the original ruling. So what the SEC is doing is asking Judge Torres to wait until 21 days after the Judge Netburn rules on the motion for reconsideration before the SEC must file its objections directly. So it's a stall game. And Jeremy Hogan summarized it. He says the SEC won't win this motion mainly because the evidence it wants to submit is not new. And in my opinion, the purpose is not to hide the emails from the judge. That cat is out of the bag. That leaves three possibilities: delay, make a record for appeal, or delay. And then he goes on. The delay is obvious. This is no less than the fourth request from the SEC for an extension of time in the case. Folks, I don't have to read anymore. I can summarize it for you right quick. These guys do not. They do. And folks, I think I said it a long time ago. This is what I believe. The SEC cannot and never is going to let those communications about that Hinman speech out. I don't think they can, because I think if they do, there's way too many people whose heads will be on the chopping block. I don't think that they can do it. And that's why I think that all that's left for the SEC, based on what I'm seeing, is, and look, I'm no attorney. I'm just telling you what I think based on, guided by common sense here. I think there's no way in the world. I think they're going to seal that stuff. This is one thing that, a lot of people don't like BitBoy's predictions or whatever. But one thing he said a while back that I agree with. He said, listen, they're going at some point, they're going to seal all of this stuff. I think that this is based on all of the video evidence and the timeline and everything. I think at some point, Ripple backs these guys into the wall to the point where the SEC has to make it go away, because there's just too much that doesn't smell right here. Like John Deaton just said, too much of this walks like a duck, and that duck could really hurt some people, take some people down, maybe even. And I think that that's the place they walk this to, and then they have to make it end. They have to make it go away. And in order to do that, I believe, like Brad Garlinghouse said, I believe Ripple is going to sit there and say, oh, you have to make it go away. Well, You give us clarity going forward for XRP, and then it goes away, and then we'll agree to sealing all this. That's where I think this is headed. Okay. John Deaton, as Charles Gasparino points out, the chairman of the SEC presses each statement with disclaimer. Everything the chairman or SEC staff says can't be considered a statement of the SEC. Therefore, in reality, the only time the SEC officially speaks is through an enforcement action. Extremely valid point. Now, John Deaton was on with Charles Gasparino and Eleanor Terrett on Friday, too. I want to play you this clip that comes from JV. Watch this one.
Touch on the whole XRP relation to Ripple. And, a lot of our followers have been saying, like XRP and Ripple are not the same thing. You have some insight on that, John, and I think you should share that with our viewers.
Well, I know that on Twitter, you'll see, Charlie will give a report, and then people are like, Ripple didn't create XRP. And I know a lot of XRP holders, they bank on the fact that Ripple was formed after the XRP ledger was created, after XRP. But it really, for reporting sakes, to be fair to you guys, it doesn't make a legal distinction. It doesn't matter that whether Ripple created XRP or didn't create XRP, or which one came first. I think there's some people in XRP community that think that because XRP was created first and Ripple after, that gives you a legal defense. It doesn't. If the Deaton law firm shut down and then the losses of John Deaton were incorporated thereafter, I'm still culpable for anything I did.
Well, the problem that they have with that argument, I think, and it's probably the weakest part of the argument, is that they clearly created XRP to do something, and that something became Ripple, right?
Well, the real issue legally is that the founders, you had Jed McCaleb, Chris Larson, David Schwartz, who's the CTO today, Arthur Brittle, they created the XRP ledger and the 100 billion XRP, and then they gifted 80 billion XRP to what was Newcoin or OpenCoin. Then it became eventually Ripple. And so it's a distinction, but it drives XRP holders crazy. But it really, for your guys to say, it doesn't change whether or not it's a security, not a security, who created the token first. Ripple could use Bitcoin as a security if they want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
but there's no doubt that they used it to build out the platform, right? I mean,
well, here's the thing: the XRP ledger was a functional ledger blockchain technology first. So I think a lot of people make the distinction of they didn't.
That was an interesting dialogue there. Now, David Schwartz had tweeted this. I choked on my Diet Coke as I read this. The SEC, I think this is from their their filing. The SEC respectfully submits that these additional documents clarify the truly deliberative nature of the discussion surrounding the speech across the SEC and show that the speech was not merely peripheral to actual policy formulation, but was in fact an essential link in the SEC's deliberative process with respect to Ether and other digital assets. The SEC therefore seeks leave to submit for an in-camera review the entire set of the 66 documents. So the SEC is trying to have their cake and eat it too, is what's going on here, folks. Make no mistake. And John Deaton says, SEC enforcement lawyers abide by the same disclaimer each commissioner or director gives before speaking. Nothing they've argued or said previously in this case can be used as official positions. There's no inconsistency if their previous arguments can't be considered. All right, Stuart Alderati had weighed in on some of this. This is the James Phelan where the SEC was wanting reconsideration of that DPP order, or whatever you call it. We've reached the do as I say, not as I do stage of this lawsuit, and with this latest from the SEC. If you're curious to what I'm referring, firms should not use lengthy privilege reviews to delay responding to routine document requests. So they're trying to run out the clocks. What they're doing. All right, this is interesting. So we all know our favorite Bitcoin maxi, who I use for Bitcoin Maxi's Gone Wild all the time. Breaking MicroStrategy being investigated by the U.S. SEC for unlawful accounting practices regarding their Bitcoin investments. That could get interesting. Then Anders L. had put this tweet out. This is one of those wow. Declaration on the establishment of a new international economic order. This is from the General Assembly. In 2018, the United Nations General Assembly adopted the resolution towards a new international economic order, which reaffirmed the need to continue working towards a new international economic order based on the principles of equity, sovereign equality, interdependence, common interest, cooperation, and solidarity among all states. A reform of the international monetary system. Now, you go on, he's got a couple more things in here. Reaffirms that the international trade is an engine for development, sustained economic growth, as well as an eradication of poverty in all its forms and dimensions, and also reaffirms the critical role that a universal, rules-based, open, non-discriminatory, and equitable multilateral trading system can play in stimulating economic growth and development worldwide, thereby benefiting all countries at all stages of development. Emphasizing that multilateralism, including a universal, rules-based, open, transparent, predictable, inclusive, non-discriminatory, and equitable multilateral trading system what a bunch of words, is the most appropriate platform for an international cooperation for addressing the challenges facing humanity. And he says, doesn't sound like SWIFT to me. I agree. Okay, and then finally there's this. This guy, his tweets fascinate me. Apparently he's in the Middle East, and he keeps tweeting things as if he knows something. Ripple is negotiating to set up 3 regional offices in Dubai, Dublin, and New Delhi. That would be India, right? Doesn't sound like a company that's worried about being shut down anytime soon, does it? I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that I believe Ripple is in the process of winning. Thank